taking a stand against suspected Russian hackers. They are deleting dozens of fake accounts and bogus events they say are stoking racial tension in the United States. Now, this story hits home because thousands of local activists were duped by Russian hackers who apparently have not changed their tricks. Tonight, Ryan Kruger is connecting the dots for us. Ryan?
Yeah, Vinny, so let's go ahead and start off with one of those events that was deleted by Facebook. This one is for a counter-protest to a Unite the Right rally, which is going to be in Washington next week. Now, intelligence experts are telling us this is actually Russian intelligence that's starting this. Take a look at what they were actually telling people to bring. A helmet, goggles, medical supplies, all to be aware of a possible violent clash that may happen there, which sounds very similar to something that happened around here 2 years ago.
Anger filled Stone Mountain Park in April of 2016. It was billed as a white pride rally, but it was little more than 24 Confederate flag supporters. But on the other side, thousands of counter-protesters. Investigators believe Russian military intelligence heard about this event ahead of time and then used fake social media accounts to urge people to show up and violently confront the Confederate flag supporters. Fast forward 2 years later, U.S. intelligence officials say Russia is up to the same old tricks.
They've identified over 30 new accounts that are not only causing chaos in the virtual domain, but also creating events on our streets with real Americans unknowingly participating.
Internet security experts say the Russians targeted African American and Hispanic communities in hopes of stoking racial tensions and further dividing Americans. The organizers of the Stone Mountain rally have never called us back after they found out they were duped. But they're not the only ones who fell for the hackers. With less than 100 days to the November elections, it appears Russia isn't stopping its cyber attacks against the U.S.
In fact, it's the opposite. Facebook says these hackers are getting more and more sophisticated. In fact, they're telling us that the ones who are creating these new pages, they're doing a better job of hiding their identities than the hackers who were attacking back in 2016. Benny?